Wishlisting games on Steam is one of the most important things you could do as a gamer. Not only does it help the devs for data, but it also helps us, the fans of this hobby. Wishlisting games on Steam notifies you for sales and its release. However, knowing when a new game is announced requires a little manual labor. That's where this video comes in. I will be sharing games that I think should have a lot more eyeballs on them. The first half of this list will be games that have demos you could play right now, while the other half are games that will be released in the future. Without further ado, on with the video. The first game in the demo section is Berserk Bits. Berserk Bits is an idle desktop game. It's a game that you can play while you watch YouTube or while you work. In fact, as I wrote this script for this video, I was playing it. There's a fair chance I am still playing it when I edit this video too. I get to play a video game and be productive at the same time. Of course, if you just want to play the game, then you can still do that with the other events that occur. I've seen other games with the same premise, but this one hits differently. If you're familiar with the Mega Man Battle Network franchise, then this is a must wish list. Now, it doesn't play exactly like that, however, it does have similar chips and actions to those titles. I've played those games, but this is exactly what I wanted with that series. This indie game treats you, the player, the way the anime and manga treated Mega Man and Lan. You are the caretaker of these creatures as well as the main hero. In more simpler terms, this is basically Digimon. There are multiple missions that you could do that vary in difficulty depending on how high of a level your bit is. It's a pretty simple game and does tell you the rules of the cyber world through phone calls that act as a guide. I really enjoyed my time with this demo and I think everyone should give it a try. When it fully releases, I'd love to talk more about this game, but for now I'll leave it at that. The second demo on this list is AVGN 8-bit. I'm gonna be real here, this game is pretty difficult. If you know anything about the nerd, AVGN 8-bit is a fan service for his audience. I'm not just talking about the references or Easter eggs either. This next entry will have you feeling like you're actually the nerd himself with how many lives you'll burn through. Just playing the demo alone was enough to make me a tad tilted. But that's part of the appeal. If you're a fan of the Mega Man series, you'll love this game. And if you can't beat Mega Man X, I wouldn't recommend this title. Speaking of the Mega Man series, the first AVGN games played more like the X series. This latest entry, however, controls closer to the original Mega Man titles, specifically 3 and 4. It takes the slide from 3 and the charge shot from 4 whenever you get the Super Scope upgrade. There will be many familiar faces like before that you can see in the trailer. However, you can play through 2 levels in the demo version, one of those bosses being a nod to Pepsi Man. The coolest thing about AVGN 8-bit is that it was made with the NES in mind. There will be an actual NES cartridge that you could buy and play on official hardware. And for those that purchase it on Steam will also receive the cartridge ROM and the game's files. I am very much looking forward to getting my hands on the cartridge version myself. The third demo here is a horror title that is set to release pretty soon, Out of Sight. Out of Sight is one of the most unique games in its genre. In other scary titles you see through the eyes of the protagonist. I mean, how else would you see? Well, this game got a little creative and put you in the shoes of the side character. You view the entire game through a stuffed teddy bear's eyes while you control the main protag, Sophie. Sophie is a blind girl who has been kidnapped and it's up to Teddy to be her optics in order to escape her captives. The demo for this one is quite unsettling. The fact that your viewing is that of a lifeless plush makes the whole experience that more tense. Sophie must put down the bear in designated spots so that she can get a clear vision of her surroundings. These areas are reserved for the more puzzle-solving aspects like moving obstacles or getting to higher vantages. It was pretty clever how they handled the horror aspect. Whenever you're not solving puzzles, you're sneaking around with Sophie hiding from her captors. The sort of uneasiness you get whenever you put down the bear and watch her walk off in the distance is not something a lot of other games have created. Its scare factor is quite different, if not interesting to say the least. The last game in the demo section is one that I've been pretty excited for. Neon Inferno is a gallery shooter, but not your typical Wild West kind. This game is a side-scroller gallery shooter with a futuristic cyberpunk setting. It'll take some time getting used to since it is one of the only hybrids of its kind that I know of. You could choose between either Angelo or Mariana, who are assassins in this dystopia New York City. The pixel work for this game is like no other, and it's quite beautiful to look at in action. Like most retro-inspired games these days, you can turn off or add various filters to your liking. The gameplay is no slouch either. With the game being a hybrid, you can shoot on both sides and above you as well as in the foreground. Like I mentioned before, it's rather difficult, but with time you'll manage. It is an arcade game after all, so you'll always know where your foes are hiding in your next attempt. You can also deflect enemy projectiles and even change the direction in slow-mo. The soundtrack for this game perfectly encapsulates the high-octane experience, and I can't wait for its full release. Now we get to talk about the upcoming games that have been recently announced or are coming soon. The first one being Baky Hanma, Blood Arena. I've seen a lot of people make fun of the gameplay, and while I agree that this series deserves a bigger title, a Punch-Out clone definitely fits Baky perfectly. If you haven't watched the show, whether that be from the original run or the Netflix continuation, you can see where I'm going with this. Baky was considered the weakest character in the series when it first started. It wasn't until he fought more and more of what became the main cast where he started to show potential. The same can be said with Little Mac from the Punch-Out series. Little Mac is only as strong as the player is willing to continue. And just like the Punch-Out enemies, the Baky cast of characters all have their own gimmick that fits quite nicely in this style of game. Having said that, you can see why it's not that bad of an idea. Hopefully it's not just an idea and they can make this into a pretty good arcade title. Baky Hanma Blood Arena is set to release a little later this year. As we stay in Japan, Samurai Pizza Cat's Blast from the Past was a surprising announcement. It's a side-scroller beat-em-up with an amazing art direction that I never thought would be attempted again. Cuphead was a phenomenon because it prides itself with its amazingly handcrafted visuals. Pizza Cats, on the other hand, has gone out of its way to do the same thing, but in the era of the late 80s, early 90s VHS aesthetic. I genuinely dig the art direction they decided to use, and I have no doubt in my mind that this game will go on to be celebrated alongside Cuphead. I've never watched the anime, but that might change closer to the release of this game. Moving on to something else just as retro, Terminator 2D, No Fate. Terminator 2 getting another movie tie-in this many years later was not on my bingo card. The Terminator series hasn't had much success in the video game market either. A lot of its recent outings have been pretty mediocre apart from the MK11 appearance. As you could tell from the clever naming convention, this is a two-dimensional side-scroller shooter. From the trailer that was shown, it seems like this will be a super faithful game to the movie with things like the naked bar fight and the John Connor bike scene. Honestly, if there's one scene I'm hyped to see in 16-bit glory, it'd have to be the bouquet of shotgun. We don't have to wait long though. It releases on the 5th of September this year. Now I love to share and support indie devs, and these last two are pretty interesting. The Blekest Keep is an action roguelike with a medieval setting. I saw this on my Twitter and was pretty interested. Not only are you a knight with a sword and shield, but you also get to have firearms as well. Its dark fantasy environment gives it that edge that makes having a gun feel less shocking. Some of the mechanics seem reminiscent of games like the Dark Souls series. I'm very curious as to how this game will play out, but I think I might have an idea. The developer has a previous game, Slay the Minotaur, which seems to play similar to their upcoming title. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for the Blekest Keep. With the hype, or the lack thereof for some people, of Mario Kart World, I thought that it might be of some interest to check out this next game. The Karters 2 Turbocharged is a pretty neat looking kart racer. It has online crossplay, ranked matchmaking, 6-player split screen, and even custom mod support. The game is set to release in early access on June 2nd and will launch with quite a bit of things like 16 tracks, dedicated online servers, mod support, as well as other things. The game looks relatively decent and adds a lot more things that kart racers have been lacking for years. The game brings features from the Mario Kart and Crash Team Racing titles and creates its own take on the genre. Any game that takes cues from CTR is a game that has my attention. Not to mention the mod support, which I'm very curious as to what that entails and what will be made from it by players. The Karters 2 Turbocharged will be priced at $30 USD with a launch discount as well. Considering this is going to be the cheapest kart racer this year, I think it deserves all eyes on it. There's so many new and exciting games being announced that it's hard to keep up with. Hopefully this video helped introduce some new ones to you. If you like what you saw, maybe considering leaving a like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. This is a new format and series that I'd like to continue. If you'd like to see some games that have already been released, maybe consider checking out my Steam game videos. With that being said, thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.